I remember it happened a couple of maybe last year. I guess the kid Mob Talk Radio or whatever.
But when you
I
hear
don't know.
so,
I think the guy showed his balls, and then the kid asked for his phone number. I think I don't know.
you know what I can't.
Okay, so number one, for those of you that know and those of you that don't know, last year a guy came on my show and showed his testicles. I had no idea what I was looking at. It took me a second to figure out what was going on, and I shut my stream down and I restarted it. So once again, I'm going to play what was said today because I want to show you how people lie and how people distort reality.
I remember it happened a couple of maybe last year. I guess the kid Mob Talk Radio or whatever.
But when you
I
hear
don't know.
so,
I think the guy showed his balls, and then the kid asked for his phone number. I think I don't know.
you know what I can't.
All right. So number one, Joe Bay 8th, you fucking little bitch coward, because that's all you've ever been. Come on this show. Come on this show. The link is dropped. Come on here and say that shit to my face. You're not going to, because all you do is run your mouth. I have never talked about this guy ever. I don't have nothing to do with this prick, but all he's ever done is say horrible shit about people. That's all he's ever done. So if you're going to at least talk about what happened on that show, at least tell the fucking truth. Keep the fucking truth. That's my fucking issue. These people always fucking do this shit. They lie. I'll play it again.
I remember it happened a couple of maybe last year. I guess the kid Mob Talk Radio or whatever.
But when you
I
hear
don't know. I think the guy showed his balls, and then the kid asked for his phone number. I think I don't know.
you know what I can't.
Right. Then he followed that up with saying that my show started to suck because I was jealous of Jeff Nadeau because he's got a better show than me. I don't care what Jeff Nadeau does, but that's what this coward does. He goes on other people's show to run his fucking mouth. So, Joe Bay 8th, since you have a lot to fucking say, you nine-toed fucking sloth-looking motherfucker, come on this show and say it to my fucking face. You lying fuck. And that's my point. This is what these people do. They just fucking lie. Because they got no life and nothing better to do. The situation, I agree. I fucking agree. The situation was funny. A guy showed his nutsack. I didn't know what I was looking. He was so close up to the screen. I didn't know what I was looking at till I backed up and went, oh my God. And every content fucking creator on YouTube was laughing about it. So was I. But then to go and say I asked for his fucking number like I'm gay or something, not that that would even fucking matter, because who could care? Who could give a fuck less what anybody does in their own house? But since you want to go on Lee Cole's show and lie and run your fucking mouth, why don't you come on here and run your fucking mouth at me? You're not going to because you're a bitch. That's all you are. So come on. Come on, Joe Bay 8th. Get off your fucking couch with your 9 toes and your Pekingese dog face and come on here and say that shit to me. You're not going to. You're not going to. Because you're a bitch and a punk and a coward. You're so cowardly, you wanted to drive to some poor kid's fucking house that lives with his fucking grandparents to harass him. Punk. Stay on Staten Island and stay a loser, because that's all you fucking are. But don't ever fucking talk about me again. Because I'm in Manhattan. You can come here. But stop your fucking nonsense and stop your fucking lying, because everybody on YouTube knows what you just said is a goddamn lie. Bottom fucking line.
I remember it happened a couple of maybe last year. I guess the kid Mob Talk Radio or whatever.
But
I don't know. I think the guy showed his balls, and then like the kid asked for his phone number. I think I don't know.
You know what I can't.
Oh, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, shut the fuck up, or I'll beat the fucking brakes off of you. And that's exactly it, Stacks. That's what they do. They twist reality. He wanted attention. He just got it. But he's a fucking lowlife. A fucking lowlife. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Fucking jerk off. You and your 9 toes. Go fuck yourself. Oh, God. That guy stalked me for a fucking month. Yeah, he's got mental problems. He wouldn't say that shit to me, I guarantee you. He won't say that to me. Guaranteed he won't say that to me. I don't fuck with nobody. I don't fuck with anybody on YouTube. I do my own thing. It is what it is. Now, I've heard it's been taken off that show, so that's fine. You can't always blame a content creator for the stupid shit people say. It happens, right? But the bottom line is, don't distort reality and learn to tell the truth. And if you got a fucking problem, be a fucking man and come on here and say it to me. And you're not going to. You never have, because the last time you tried this shit, the first thing out of your mouth was, oh, God, I don't want Jeff Canarsie coming on this show because he's going to curse me out and go crazy. Then shut your fucking mouth. Stop acting like a 13-year-old fucking thug wannabe, you fucking jerk off. You got no fucking common sense, no dignity, and you're a fucking coward. That's it. Bottom line. Anyway, we're moving on. All right, so hey, Carlos, what's shaking, my friend? I'm going to play a quick little video, and then we're going to get into the show. So here we go.
And now it's time for Mob Talk Radio with your host, Jeff Canarsie.
This is News Channel 4 at 11.
Vinnie the Chin Gigante. He's said to be one of the most powerful mobsters in America. His lawyers say he's insane, but tonight it appears Gigante will finally be brought to justice. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Watkins. Chuck is off. The mob may be about to take a big hit.
It's a story you'll see only on News Channel 4. It is all but certain that a federal judge will rule tomorrow that Gigante is sane, was sane, and is competent to stand trial. The boss of all bosses in the American Mafia will have to answer to murder and racketeering charges. News Channel 4's John Miller reports.
While the judge's opinion is still sealed, FBI agents are making contingency plans to rearrest Gigante on charges he's been able to sidestep by using his mental illness, an illness that prosecutors have claimed is an act.
It's worked for him for 20 years. Hopefully it's not going to work for him much longer.
Charles Rose, a former prosecutor, developed the original indictment of Gigante, charging him with being the boss of the Genovese crime family, the chairman of the mob's commission, and the man who arranged to have mobsters who broke the rules of La Cosa Nostra killed. One alleged plot involved plans to bump off John Gotti. Gigante has been able to avoid going to trial because a host of psychiatrists have testified that the wan figure who stares blankly and wanders the streets in a blue bathrobe was mentally disabled. But a host of mob informers, including Sammy the Bull Gravano, have said that they had regular dealings with the Chin as a mob boss.
Excuse me, sir. He was meeting late at night in garages and in social clubs and in limos and on the street and giving orders to run the family, to commit murders on behalf of the family. Someday soon, Mr. Gigante will be in a court of law, and he'll have to answer the charges against him.
If Judge Nickerson decides tomorrow, as our sources believe he will, his decision won't come as a big surprise. Already, he has ruled as a finding of fact by the court that Gigante was sane and was the boss of the Genovese crime family when the crimes were committed. Tomorrow, it's expected he'll rule that he's sane enough to stand trial.
All right. So the reason why I put those little two captions at the end was because a lot of people just, I don't want to say distort reality. The reality is John Gotti was a boss for 5.5 years. Okay. You cannot compare a guy who was a boss for 5.5 years to a guy that was a boss for almost 30. Okay. I know a lot of people like to sort of tongue in cheek about the Crazy Act, but the Crazy Act kept him out of fucking prison. And that's the reality until the end. And the reason why in the end he gave up is because the feds told him, well, either you admit to feigning this nut job act or we're going to put your whole entire family into prison. And yes, I am going to get to his daughter. Absolutely. He got pinched a couple years after Gotti did. Absolutely. Most people don't realize he was still bossing the can because of all the front bosses. And that's the important thing that I wanted to bring up. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to hear these, but I am going to attempt to play them. So do me a favor. If you can't hear it, I want you to tell me that you can't hear it. Okay. And I'm going to address this one first. So let's see if I can do this the correct way. Okay. Do me a favor, guys. If you can't hear it, start screaming, I can't hear it.
Jim didn't want to play the part of an act. He didn't want to play the part of a boss. I don't even think he wanted to be a boss.
Yeah, that's what was very strange about it because, his motivation, he didn't have the type of motivation that you would normally see in a boss. I mean, he's definitely, but he himself did not want to go to jail. He feared going to jail. What happened in '59 when he went to jail stayed with him. And for whatever reason, the Chin did not want to go back to jail. And I know that obviously no one wants to, but John Gotti actually, when you listen to the tapes, he actually says that, that he believes he's going to end up in prison eventually. That was a lot of what he was trying to do, was to prepare the rest of the administration for when he is in prison. But the Chin just, he was going to do all he could to stay out of prison. But how do you run a family when you're gone, every 90 days for 30 days?
Okay. Number one, he wasn't gone every day for 30 days, 90 days.
Yeah, that's the question. And that's why Giuliani said he wasn't really in charge. And people said, what do you mean he wasn't in charge? And Giuliani meant, he was in charge at times.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, sometimes a boss doesn't want to take the eyes off the street for 30 days.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Number one, that is absolutely unequivocally not true about Tony Salerno. I don't know where that guy got his information, but that's 100% not even accurate. Vinnie Gigante wasn't just the chairman of the board. He was the boss of the Genovese crime family for 27 years. Believe it or not, in 1978, Tony Salerno ends up going to jail for 6 months for gambling and tax evasion. Okay. In 1981, he gets out. He does have a stroke. That is absolutely true. However, that's not why he didn't become boss. He didn't become boss because he was never in the running to become a boss. And those are just facts. And factually, Funzi Thierry was ahead of him in the hierarchy of that family. And what you need to understand is that in the Genovese family, the front boss was considered a higher position than the underboss at that time. That's the way they did things. So when Funzi Thierry dies in 1981, that's when Tony Salerno becomes the front boss. Not because he had a stroke. He was never going to be the boss. So that information is not correct. I don't know where that information came from, but it's totally and factually not true. 100% not true. And so once again, it's, do some research and understand what you're talking about. It's just the reality. In the Genovese crime family, the front boss was a higher position than the underboss. And that's been the way that it's always supposed to have been. So let me play a different one really quick. I don't know if I'm going to do this the right way. Hold on a second, guys. I got to figure out how to pull up this this other one really quick. Let's see, which one is it? Hold on one second. Oh God, how come I can never do this? Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. I cannot seem to pull this one up for some reason. Hold on one second here. All right, let me pause that. Okay, let me go there. There. Share that. All right, we're going to play this one. Okay, did you guys hear that part? Hello? Did you guys hear? Okay. I don't know if you guys heard the second part, but the second part was that maybe Vinnie the Chin wasn't a gangster. And that's not true either. He definitely 100% was a gangster. And I think there just seems to be a confluence of confusion. And the reason why I say that is, okay, there was nothing played. Shit. All right. Well, basically what was said was couldn't hear that one. All right. Oh, well, we'll just give up on that. But the whole point of the matter is that we did a poll on YouTube the other day. And on this poll was whether or not who was a better boss. Was it John Gotti or was it Vinnie the Chin? And the results of that were 96%. I think we had over 800 votes. And in those 800 votes, 96% said that Vinnie the Chin was a better boss. And we didn't base that on any sort of longevity, okay? We based it on just what you guys think. So I want to take a poll in here because a lot of you may have a differing opinion. So the question is, and I'll put the question up right here in a second. Okay, I want you to hit number one. Okay, hold on, let me type this. Okay, hit the number one if you think that John Gotti was a better boss, and hit number two if you think Vinnie the Chin was a better boss. I think longevity is a big part too. But I didn't want to just come right out and do that. But I think longevity has a lot to do with it. Absolutely. But if you guys would just please do me the favor and hit one if you think it's Gotti, and that's okay. And hit number two if you think Chin's the best. So we've got a number one. We've got a bunch of number two. So it looks like it's all going to be number twos. I did do a YouTube poll and 786 people voted and it was 96% for Vinnie the Chin. This is where I'm going to disagree. And let me make this point. And this is not going to be a popular point, but I'm going to make a point. Do you know that in the history of the two men, John Gotti had 15 dozen wiretaps, 15 dozen different wiretaps where he's caught talking? Do you know how many wiretaps Vinnie the Chin was caught on? Let's take some guesses. How many wiretaps do you think Vinnie the Chin got caught on in 27 years? Oh, we got a winner. Stack's got it right there. One. Vinnie the Chin was only caught on one wiretap. And in that wiretap, he was blowing kisses and talking to his wife on the phone. So, if you look at somebody longevity, in 27 years, you're caught once talking on the phone, right? Versus somebody who's in for 5 years and gets caught 15 dozen different times. And yes, there is an argument and a rightful argument in that when you're the most highly surveilled person in the world, you're going to get caught talking. Totally legit. Not going to disagree. However, when people typically pick on, no, it was not. It was not to check on his family. That's not, no. Let me explain that. The wiretap was not to check on his family. The wiretap was him calling his wife Olympia, who's both of his wives are named Olympia, and he's asking her on the phone, "Do you want me to pick you up on the way thing? And do you want me to pick you up dinner or anything on my way home tonight?" No. He goes, "I love you so much. Kiss, kiss, kiss." That's how he got caught. It had nothing to do with his family. I've heard that's what Rita Gigante said, but let me tell you something about her. She barely knew her father, and I'm not going to discount her stories. But I'm going to tell you for a certifiable fact, she's not telling the truth about a lot of things. He did not portray his nut act at home. It's quite the opposite. Did you know that he was caught multiple times by the FBI actually walking out of his house in the middle of the night to go do what he got to do, and he's wearing a silk suit underneath of his bathrobe? So a lot of people, the Chin used to pick up his phone knowing his bug and blow and whistle. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people have a tendency to sort of, and I'm not saying anybody in general, but just people have a tendency in going, well, he was soft. How can anybody walk around in a bathrobe like that and demean themselves? Well, somebody who wants to stay out of prison and run their crime family for 27 years, that's exactly what they do. And he wasn't always every 3 or 4 months in the nut ward. That's just not accurate information. I think that's a fucking joke. That's not even true. That's not true. How can you even say that? What are you, a Gotti simp? Is that what you're doing? He was more stand-up than Vinnie the Chin, right? Okay. How many people went away in the Genovese crime family because of rats when Vinnie the Chin was the boss? Huh? How many people went away? Yeah, you're right. Gotti didn't take a plea deal, but he forced his brother to take one, didn't he? Oh, and by the way, you're wrong, Joey, because look back to 1976. Gotti did take a plea deal in his first prison bid. So you're wrong. You're wrong. He did take a plea deal. So know what you're talking about before you open your fucking stupid mouth. He was on a prison phone call receiving a message from my friend Robert. Oh, okay. I guess that's not about me. John Gotti did have a plea deal. He pled out in his first case where he went to Lewisburg or wherever the hell he went. He pled out. Pleading out doesn't make you stand up and not stand up. Majority of mob guys take plea deals. You're an idiot. A complete and fucking idiot. Yeah, he did take a plea. Absolutely. And that doesn't make you weak because you took a plea deal. Everybody takes plea deals. And it's not about whether you like John Gotti or not. I'm not dogging the guy. But I mean, it's one thing for you to say nobody in my family takes plea deals, but you did. I've never understood that facet. I'm just being honest. Eugenie Gotti could have done 15 years. Instead, he does 30 because John didn't want anybody in the family taking plea deals. And I understand that. But when you took a plea deal yourself, you're not living by the same standard that you set. And he did take a plea deal. And if you don't believe me, then you can look it up for yourself. But he did take a plea. And those are just facts. And that's my point, is I think that if we look at if we look at John Gotti for an example, right? I mean, he's like the face of organized crime. He always will be. Good-looking guy, charisma, didn't mince words, but those same sort of attributes that he had are also the ones that put him in prison. Let's just be honest. And there's a big difference between 5.5 years versus 27. Big difference. And it's not about saying one's better than the other. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be realistic. Al Capone only had a 5.5-year run. But Al Capone was much like Gotti in terms of the media just went after him nonstop. And I will say this, that you can't expect Gotti to hide under a bed. He's got to go places. He's got to do things. Absolutely. But when you are the boss of an organized crime family, it's give and take. It's just give and take. But absolutely, he took a plea deal. Gotti's the second most famous gangster behind Al Capone. Absolutely. Good-looking guy, bravado, didn't give a shit. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Nobody can make you do anything. You need to stop watching the film Gotti because that's not accurate. Trust me. Trust me. You people act like taking a plea deal is like a horrible thing to do. Do you guys realize that 85%, 95% more today, guys take plea deals? So anybody that takes a plea deal today is what, not stand up? Do you guys understand the difference between 1940 and 1990? Do you understand how technology changed? Do you understand how the government spent to investigate? Can you name me another mob boss who had 100 people informing against him like John Gotti did? No, you can't do it. You can't do it. You know? Do not confuse the issue with facts. Well, and that's my point. It's not about liking somebody. It's not about disliking somebody. There is a lot to like about John Gotti. There is. But I think people have a tendency to, when we talk about longevity, okay, a guy that's a boss for 30 years, true, somebody who's a boss for 30 years might not have had the same surveillance on him that John Gotti did. So it's not an easy thing. But other bosses, too, did grimy stuff, right? But they laid low, too. And so the argument becomes, how low can you actually lay? You know, can you really even lay low? But it is what it is. It is what it is. But I was just curious to what everybody else thought. But sometimes people have a tendency in labeling the Chin some sort of bad boss because he played the nut act. Everybody knew he was fucking feigning the crap. Everybody knew he was playing the system. How Rudy Giuliani could never figure that out blows my fucking mind. You know, it is exactly. If somebody comes to you, you're a gangster, and they say, I'm going to put your children, your grandchildren, your wives, your sister, your daughter, they're all going to go to prison. What are you going to do? You're going to take a fucking plea so that they don't get hurt. That makes you stand up because you're protecting your fucking family. Joey Melrose, you fucking idiot. That's the whole point. Being stand up is taking care of your own. If he refused to take a plea and all of his family got arrested, do you have any idea how bad that would have been for his reputation? You know? Listen, John didn't want to take Gene to take a plea deal because Gene had to admit being a part of the Gambino crime family. John also denied Joe Armone taking a plea for the same reason. You can weave this any way you want. You can weave it any way that you want. It doesn't make it any different. It doesn't make it any different. I'm sorry. Chin was smart. That whole family has it right. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Muttering around in a robe, and that didn't attract attention. Of course it did. But he was able to run his family unimpeded for 27 years. You know? Okay, so I'll Pete the Killer, I'll be fair. Muttering around a robe, that didn't attract attention. Sure it did. John Gotti didn't attract attention? No, not at all. Or, I don't know, Tony Ducks Corallo getting caught talking in the Jaguar, that didn't create problems. It's not like it's an isolated thing to one guy. And that's why I always bark at people when they say, oh, John Gotti took down the whole entire mafia, because he really didn't. because he wasn't the first guy that killed the boss, number one. Number two, he wasn't the first guy that got caught on a wiretap. That's happened to hundreds of people. But it's just, I think people look past certain issues, you know? Oh, exactly. Everybody attracted attention. Nobody was immune to it. Believe me, nobody's immune to it. And honestly, you know what? I can agree with Pete the Killer. I mean, I think the whole thing is you reach the point at a level where what can you do? You either sit in your house all day, you got to go out, you got to do things. So, I mean, I get it. I'm not blaming anybody for getting caught. That's not, and that's the problem with what I'm saying is a lot of people will take what they think they hear and kind of run with it. This is not a Gotti bash thing at all. It's just simply just call a spade a spade. That's it. You know, any boss is going to get attention when he's a known boss. Absolutely. Doing good, Pete the Killer. Doing good. But Gotti wasn't immune to it. I mean, listen, can you imagine if any of these guys, take anybody, Russell Buffalino, for example, if the same amount of surveillance that was on John Gotti been put on him, he wouldn't have lasted long. You know, Carlo Gambino, I don't think would have gotten out of the 1980s unscathed. Honestly, I really don't. Mount Rushmore of mob bosses, Luciano, Chin, Gambino, Buffalino. Absolutely. I can agree with you. Agree with you there. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Longevity. Well, Buffalino had a longer reign, and Buffalino was universally respected. John Gotti didn't like Vinnie the Chin, but he was terrified of him. And those are just facts, whether people want to admit to that or not. Sammy the Bull Gravano's little rat tail that Gotti was going to try to kill Chin is about as funny as it gets. About as funny as it gets. So, oh, look at this tough guy. Oh, why don't you come to 9th? And Catherine. No, it's not that your opinion is bad. It's because you're an idiot. That's why I'm calling you an idiot, because you're an idiot. Because you're a Gotti simp and you refuse to just acknowledge facts. That's why. See, it goes from that to, I'm going to beat you up because I can't stand the fact that you made fun of me. Gotti is my guy no matter what, always has been. And okay, I'm not going to say that other name, but no, Pete Keller, I listen, I agree with you. Listen, you know, when you grow up and you watch like the Good God, Cowboys and Indians, right? I always wanted to be an Indian. You watch the movies, you want to be bank robber, you want to be the cops. Everybody wants to be the bank robber. It's more fun. There's a lot to admire in what John Gotti did. But I think the point that I was trying to make is when you're talking in terms of, okay, well, you're leaving this chat. When you're talking in terms of longevity, you know, yeah, that's right. That's right, Chris. In terms of longevity is everything in that life. Longevity is everything in that life. But like I said, I think there's a large difference between, 5 years and 14 and 27. I'm just being honest. If you don't like my opinion, it's okay. I don't mind your opinion either. But when you come in here like making threats and shit, you're going to get thrown out pretty quick. You know what I mean? And if, it just is what it is. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. What I can tell you about my cousin, Chris Strock, is what he just said. I wouldn't put him at number one, but he's in my top 5, 100%. And I'll tell you another thing. Providence has never been the same since he died. I'll tell you that. Because I can remember when Ray was alive, you couldn't throw no trash on that hill, brother. Not a cigarette butt could be found on that hill. Not a single one. And Patriarcha was also the type of guy who was pulled in for big meetings, because he's somebody that they considered to make decisions not based on what he felt he needed. So in other words, like when Buffalino took over the Genovese crime family for a short little stint while they were trying to figure out what they were going to do, it's that kind of thing, Let's see. What is this stuff about Chin and the 22 caliber hit squad? And So since we've talked about two of the most infamous guys, in your opinion, guys, who is the worst mob boss in the history? I'm sure we're going to see Nicky Scarfo and some other ones, but who do you think is the worst? Who is the worst? The tapes they got on Gotti in that apartment were devastating. He had too big of a mouth for a boss, it seemed. Well, here's the thing, right? So I'm not him. I can't put myself in his shoes, but he felt he was safe. Did he say things he shouldn't have? Yeah, but how often have we all been talking to friends and such shit that we regret? It's easy to say, oh, I wouldn't say this, I wouldn't say that, but the majority of guys today, they won't go meet anywhere. They talk on the phone. That's how you get caught. So we've got Vito Genovese. I can agree to some respects. Joe Messino, we got a rat. Okay. Joe Profaci. That's interesting. Casso. Albert Anastasia. I'm assuming you're going Albert Anastasia. Pete the Killer's going to go with Sam Giancana. I like that answer. Because look at this. We got a Stampa. I always say you guys are the smartest bunch. We got Joe Bonanno. We got a lot of Masseria, Joe Colombo, Profaci for sure, Al Capone, Scarfo, Vito Genovese. So we got a lot. So you guys definitely, I can tell the guys that listen to my show. If Gotti showed more violence against rats or in general and didn't talk long or brag, I think he would have been a good boss. But the Chin, I think, overall was the better boss. No, I would agree with you. But you know what, though? Here's the problem with the situation that John Gotti was in. It was one indictment after another. He couldn't retaliate for the death of Bobby Borriello. He couldn't retaliate for the death of Frankie DeChico because by the time that happens, they're already looking at him for the Castellano thing. So his hands are tied, and I think, listen, whether you like this or not, I mean, take away the Castellano hit. Do you think John Gotti becomes boss ever? I don't, but he was put in a position where he had to do what he had to do, Salvatore Rina, Toto Rina was the man. He's my favorite. Believe it or not. So my pick for the worst boss in the history of organized crime is Nicky Scarfo. And I say that because Nicky Scarfo had a very rare opportunity to sort of really control some stuff. He had unions, he had Atlantic City, and instead he goes fucking ape shit. And we were joking last time on this show about what is it about these mob bosses that are all 5'5"? They're all serial killers. It's crazy. That would be Toto Rina. Let's see. I think Castellano was Super Weasel. Yeah, I think so too. There's a great point. Galante wasn't too great either, but he was a tough son of a bitch. No, he was. Galante, Galante was something else. Like anytime you just get out of prison, you blow the doors off a guy's fucking crypt in a graveyard just to say hello. Hey, you mean business. He was a different character. He was a deviant. Mad Sam actually got a guy off the streets and made him go home and rape his wife in front of him. He's a little bit disturbing, that guy. He used to ice pick people's balls. He was a creative killer. Let's just put it that way. He was very creative. Nicky is a great pick, the best one. Yeah, Nicky, 100%. 100%. And I don't know why they didn't know that beforehand. I mean, he did kill a guy at the fucking Oregon Diner over a seat. He stabbed him to death with a fucking butcher knife, or not a fucking butter knife, which I don't even know how that's possible. You gotta have some force. Reno was one of the most feared. No, absolutely. Reno was so feared. Paul Castellano was shitting his fucking pants because Rena was hell-bent on killing the Inzerillo family. And they were here in New Jersey and in New York, and he was having them killed from Italy over here. And Paul Castellano ends up sending John Gambino to Sicily saying, can you please ask Toto Reno to stop this shit? That's how bad it was. Because I'm going to tell you something. A boss here today in today's time period couldn't have somebody killed in Italy. Probably back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s they could have. But, it's crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Jack Dragna, that's another one. Dragna was soft. A lot of people ask me all the time why the mob backed Mickey Cohen and not Dragna. And I think a lot of it's because Dragna wasn't violent. I think I really don't think, given what happened to Bugsy Siegel, I don't know if they would have backed, Mickey Cohen up so quickly, but I think just Dragna just didn't have it in him. I could be wrong. I didn't know the guy, obviously. But if you think about just LA in general, like they had a rare opportunity to control everything there, and they just could never sort of get their hands on it. He was the horse whisperer, wasn't he? Definitely so. Rusty Rostelli had bad luck as boss. Yeah, some guys are just, snake bit, Nikki killed Salvi. He destroyed everything. I don't know if Kill and Salvi tested destroyed everything, but it just created instability. And that's the one thing that Philadelphia needed. It's crazy that whole time period in Philly. Rusty was another fucking nut. No, absolutely. You know who was a nut? Oh God. Who was the fucking, I'm having a brain fart. Who is the guy that wanted to kill Joe Dogs Iannuzzi? Tony, no, TP. Oh God. What the hell was his name? Somebody tell me his name. I forgot. I can't remember. Armchair MBA, Toto Rena. Hands down, I agree. Is that Tom LaVecchia? Tom, is that you? Oh God, why can't I remember TP's name? What the hell's wrong with me? Tip. Yeah, Tommy Agro. That was it. Yeah. Tommy Agro was a fucking nut. Have you guys ever listened to those taped phone calls? If not, go to YouTube and type in Joe Dogs Iannuzzi. You know what? We could play some of those here. That would be funny. Hold on. How do I even do that? What do I do? Go to present, share screen. What do I open up a second? I don't even know how to fucking do that. I don't know how to play. That would be fucking hilarious. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do that. These wiretaps are hilarious. Let's see. Tommy Agro goes nuts. Oh, yeah. We got a whole bunch of them. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Oh, this is like shit. Why do they always play these 16 seconds? All right, hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up, guys, really quick. Hey, what's up, Tom? How are you? All right, let me see if I can figure out how to share this screen, guys. I'm not really good at this, so I apologize. Is it window? Does anybody know how to do this? There it is. Yeah. Ready?
Around and put in your pocket and lie to me and hide from me, and that's all you fucking did. Lie, double bang everybody. So you wound up where you are all alone. I told you this last year. You keep fucking with me, and I'm gonna leave you all by yourself. Let me tell you something, my friend. I liked you very much, and you got away with murder from me. But I always felt one day you'll turn and you'll be a fucking man with me. Because I respected you and made a fucking man out of you all over Florida. I figured one day you'll come to your sense. I missed you 3 times. When I got you that day, I missed you 2 times before that. I was down there twice before that looking for you. You're only alive, my friend, because Don's wife walked in. That's the only reason you're alive. You ain't supposed to be alive. Because I was making an example out of you for any motherfucker that tried it on me again. You understand? So the only reason you're still alive, don't think because we stopped. It was because that woman walked in the door. Hey, you would have been gone. You weren't supposed to walk away no more. You me, and that was the worst thing you ever did. I got guys with me that'll eat your eyes out of your head. And they're as loyal as a mother. And they got balls the size of cows. I would take them tomorrow and tell them, come on, load up, we're gonna blow this whole joint. They'll walk in and blast everybody. With no hesitation, no nothing, and don't look for nothing besides it.
Guy's a fucking maniac. Can you guys imagine Nicky Scarfo? What some of those might have sounded like? Oh God, that's hilarious. He was talking to Joe Dogs Iannuzzi. Yeah, can you imagine getting that call every day? You motherfucker, I'm gonna pull your fucking eyes out and fuck you in the ass with a cactus, you prick. Oh, absolutely. That shit's hilarious. Hilarious. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine if he was a boss, what he would have done? That would have been a whole nother conversation. He would have screamed all that shit to his captain to go handle it. And I want you to bring me his eyes back and his testicles. I want you to mash them together and make them into a gravy. And I'm going to drink them because I want to exude his soul, the fucking rat. These guys, some of these guys just get a little fucking nutty. To my knowledge, there are transcripts, but there are not wiretaps. I would give I would give everything I had to hear Nicky Scarfo screaming and foaming at the mouth. But I mean, when you listen to some of the transcripts, or when you read some of the transcripts about him, shoot him again, or stab him again in the chest. He's still breathing, stab him again. I mean, when you're whacking a guy and you're stabbing him multiple times in the chest, and it's not enough for the boss, and he's like, he looks like he's breathing. Keep doing it. It's like, what the fuck? And that's probably what led Nicky to whacking the fucking horse. That fucking horse. You imagine Nicky's riding the horse kicks Nicky off. Nicky's so pissed off because he thinks the horse intentionally did it to spite him. He grabs the reins. Can you imagine the shit he said to that horse? You fucking motherfucker, you kicked me off. I'm going to fucking have you thrown off a cliff. I'm going to burn you alive, you motherfucker, you. And what does he do? He has the horse thrown off a cliff. If you cannot control your power, you're just another tyrant. No, that's entirely possible and entirely true. Yes, Tom, you are right. He did take over that crew eventually. Yeah. But you know what the thing is nutty as some of those guys are, they're also needed. Sometimes you got to have a guy that's just that much unstable to keep everybody else in line. And that's a lot of the reason why today you see such a difference in organized crime. You know? Oh, God, yeah. Imagine a murder crew of Patera, Scarpa, and DeMeo. Yeah. Yeah. I know a guy that was in the DeMeo crew. And I'm friendly with Tommy Patera as well. So Tommy Patera is quite the creative guy. You know? Not many people keep heads in their refrigerators. You know what I mean? Let's see. What else do we have going on? Yankees for life. What is shaking? Chris Gorky, if you're still in here and want to come on, I'll drop the link for you. Somebody told me that Joe Bay 8th came in here, but I don't think he did. I never saw him. Florida Gambino is always fascinating. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know. And you know what's even more interesting than that, Tom, is check Virginia Beach. Maybe I can get together with you and tell you some things, because there was stuff in Virginia Beach. The Gambinos were there, but also the Gambinos in Baltimore too. They typically find, and I've actually heard, now I don't know how accurate it is, but there's also Gambino guys in South Carolina too. But that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that there are some guys that are further down south. DeMeo, Hot Diggity Dogs, New Jersey, absolutely. Hannibal Lecter would be proud of Patera. Well, yeah. Yeah, the amazing part is they about beat Iannuzzi to death. Like, they beat the crap out how would you guys feel about getting a phone call where you have obviously pissed off a guy, and you mitigate and make it worse by just being a smart ass on the phone to him? Then they almost kill you, and then you got the guy on the phone screaming, you should have died the last 2 fucking times. That's a guy I don't think I'm going to meet for a third time. I just got to be honest with you, because if baseball bats and shit don't work, what other alternatives you got, Desert Chilled Monkey Brains. Oh, you have been watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I see. Good old cousin Chris. Scarpa did play both sides. And that's the interesting thing. We covered a lot of the Scarpa 302s over on YouTube, and you can listen to those for yourself. But a lot of people don't realize that Scarpa was informing before Valachi did. A lot of people don't ever, the FBI kind of made Joe Valachi sort of the, I don't want to say the patsy because he gave up information, but they made him the poster boy for the informant bullshit. And the truth is that Greg Scarpa was already dealing with them before Valachi even went before the commission. And we posted, I think, a lot of those transcripts and stuff like that. So Scarpa was a lot deeper than a lot of people ever realized. And he played both sides. He played both sides to a coin. Absolutely. Do you think Nikki and the horse are up in heaven laughing about the whole incident? I don't know. I'm a little afraid to even answer that question, because then I'll get people attacking me saying I don't have any morality, Let's see. Jeff, I think Joey has a boxing show tonight. No, I knew they did. I knew they did. But I said what I had to say, but nobody's going to lie about me and fuck with me. Hello, Christopher.
Hey, what's up? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just looked down and saw you in the window.
Well,
yeah, absolutely. Hold on, Chris. Yeah, absolutely, Tom. I'll reach out to you. Definitely so. Definitely so. Maybe we can get together and do something, Tom. Because my podcast stuff is mobile. So I'll shoot you an email. Have a good night, Tom. Anyway, so do you think what I said at the top was really that filthy? I mean, come on.
What about
gay
about the describing the lies or something that they said about you?
Yeah.
No, you didn't say anything filthy. I mean, honestly, it could have been worse. You used the word testicles instead of. I mean, I guess medically that's the correct wording instead of something else you could have said.
Listen. It just comes down to this. If you don't like me, and I'm going to play it one more time so people can see it. So 1 second.
I remember it happened a couple of maybe last year. I guess the kid Mob Talk Radio or whatever.
But
I don't know. I think the guy showed his balls, and then the kid asked for his phone number. I think I don't know.
You know what I can't.
Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, somebody showed their nutsack on my live, and now he's saying I'm like he's alluding to I'm gay and asked for the guy's phone number. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
you never
bullshit.
did
Like,
that.
why say something that fucking stupid?
They do that to enhance their story. Unfortunately, that's what people do. If they don't like you, it's not enough just to not like you. This is why I don't like you, blah, blah, blah. That's what guys do. They beef. They don't like each other. But so many people, especially with this mob tube crap, drama tube is what I call it. When they don't like each other, they got to lie. They got to exaggerate. They got to embellish. And there's no need. You didn't say that. That guy a year ago came on. You didn't even know what the fuck it was at first. No one did. You saw it. You immediately cut the feed. You cut it. You restart it. You apologize to the audience because you didn't know it was going to happen. And that was it. I mean, you handled it totally professional as much as you could. And not even once alluded to like asking for the guy's phone number. All that is that
I mean, he didn't even have a big prick. If he'd had a big prick, I might have asked him for his number.
Yeah, well, I mean, they'll steal dildos. We thought, holy fuck.
Oh, no, they'll take what I just said there and they're gonna play it everywhere now.
God, it's just a fucking joke, people, man. Just people gotta grow the hell up. You know what happened to guys is joking around, busting balls, having some fun, without turning it into I'm gonna fucking kill your mother. I'm gonna fuck you. Like what happened? Just regular guys busting balls. You don't like each other, so what? It's I don't know. But no, you never asked for a guy's phone or nothing. You handled it very well.
Well, Chris,
the best you could have.
It wasn't just that, Chris. He said some other shit after that too, which I didn't want to play on here just because it was about Jeff Nadeau, and I don't really want to replay that whole thing. But Chris, you heard what he had to say, and he wasn't joking around. He was talking shit, and I don't understand it because I've never said a thing about this guy in my life. I don't even know the guy.
You know why? I mean,
Well, you and I both know why, but
I mean, and I'll tell you what, that other guy, he better watch himself because you got some fucking nuclear bombs that he doesn't know about, and I ain't gonna say anymore, but that dude better be careful,
Well, listen. At the end of the day, you know what I really care about? Just doing this.
Yeah,
that's it. Just doing my content. And like I've always said, I'm not for everybody. I get it, right? And listen, if somebody has a different opposing opinion than me, that's fantastic. I like that. But if you're not knowledgeable enough to know that what you're saying, and I'm not saying that about it, I'm saying that about anybody. If you're not knowledgeable to just get the facts straight, then either this isn't the thing for you, or at least check before you say something. That's all.
Yeah. I
Because
don't think anybody's going to be able to have as much knowledge as you do. I mean, they could come close, but no one's going to do the research you do, like you said. You know what I mean? It's they're not going to put in the time. They'll listen to a YouTube show about a mob guy or a documentary from whoever. And then if you say something that conflicts with what they saw on like one documentary, they think they're in the right. You know what I mean? And that's all it is. They don't realize how much research you do. I mean, first of all, you do know people in the streets still, and alleged people, alleged. You alleged. Yeah. So I'm sorry, but your knowledge, you have the knowledge, and the amount of research you do, these people don't realize. I mean, Christ, you're saying what, like $2,500, $4,000 a month you spend on Pacer or something like that?
Yeah.
Who else fucking does that? There's no one else that does that. I mean, they're out there begging for fucking money, and you're spending money to get your shows right and accurate. You know what I mean? And cross-referencing. So
let me address this. I didn't throw him out of here for his opinion. I threw him out because he threatened me. I don't deal with punks. I don't deal with people who don't like to be. Listen, we can have two different opinions, JJ Fedora. You can like blue and I can like green, and we can leave it at that. But the minute you say, come to 18th and 9th and I'll beat your ass, that tells me you're a fucking idiot. And I'm just not even going to indulge people like that. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with disagreeing. It has to do if you feel like you're not winning the disagreement and you have to go to a threat, then you're not going to be in here. Because I don't deal with people like that. Yeah, that's what people in junior high school do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, the funny thing with that Joe Dog's Eye and Newsy recording is fucking Tommy Agro's going so fucking nuts. That Joe Dogs, you could hear him on the phone saying, yeah, keep talking. I mean, he's basically telling the guy I'm recording it, and he's going fucking nuts. He doesn't even know it.
I know. It's insane. Like, that's the last motherfucker I would want to fucking ever piss off. Ever. Well, the reason why it's 3 to 4K on Pacer is because if I'm doing a biography on somebody, like here's the difference between me and a lot of other people. And it's, listen, to each their own. I wanted to say, Severio, I wanted to say thank you for joining the podcast. I saw that you had joined the podcast earlier, and you have a very famous last name. I'll say that much. And I know where you're from. So, with all due respect, I'm glad you're here. Anyway, yeah, that's what I do. Under promise, over deliver. What I typically do is, for instance, like I'm covering all of the Canadian families. I'm not just covering like, Vic Catroni. I'm covering like all the 10, 20, 30 guys around him, and you're getting stuff that you're not going to be able to get from a book and from other places. And a lot of that's just because I know people and they tell me things. And, like I always tell everybody, if you're ever interested in doing this sort of stuff, the best friend in the world that you can ever have is transcripts, because that'll tell you one part of the story. But if you don't know people that were around during that time and are related to people, then you kind of are going to play a guessing game with what's true and what isn't. And that's sort of when street intuition kicks in and stuff like that. But not everybody can afford Pacer, like legitimately. And I get it.
That's a lot of money, man.
It is a lot of money. And it's a lot of money when you consider that comes off, out of your profit margin. But I would rather get it at least to like 95% accurate.
Yeah.
Than to just totally like kind of guess,
Yeah. And like you said, we're talking about shit that happened 40, 50, 60, or 100 years ago. No one's going to get everything exactly right. No. But you bend over backwards and put in the work to make sure you get as much as you possibly could right, So.
Well, listen, and the truth and the reality is, and I say this all the time on my podcast, and because you listen, I can't get anything 100%. Nobody can unless you're standing in that room and what's going on.
Yeah.
But
it's Jeff's show, Carlos. It's not mine, but I appreciate it. It's Jeff's show, though.
But what you can actually do is 302s have an amazing way of cross-referencing themselves. And what I mean by that is typically, like, let's say Greg Scarpa says, Chris Gorky likes Ronald McDonald. Okay. And you see that 3 or 4 times in his 302s. But then you pick up somebody else's 302s that's related somehow through a different family. And you say, yeah, Chris likes Ronald McDonald. And when you start to see the same thing repeated over and over again from two people who didn't know each other, that typically shows you that there's some truth to it. And then you just got to play with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, you cross-reference, you know, that's what it is. How many guys today in this generation do you think are like Tommy Agro?
Are you legitimately asking me that?
Well, no, listen, there's one guy that comes to mind immediately. You know who I'm thinking of. I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to say the dudes.
I know of personally 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I mean, like, what
I'm going to say 5. I know 5 guys that are like that. If you push them in the wrong direction, absolutely.
God Almighty.
And the worst thing is the mouth. The difference would be is that I think there's the same reaction, just not the verbal violence. It's just straight violence. But I also think the situation has to be right. The situation has to be like if you spill a drink on one of the 5 I mentioned, they're not going to go crazy. They're going to say a couple things to you, but it's situational. You know, I have, unfortunately, you know, I've been on the receiving end of just someone being frustrated, and that was intimidating enough. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, you stood up, you manned up, you know, and you have a light to man, and there was a mutual respect there.
Agnostic says I was corrected. It was unidentified, not unindicted. Okay, gotcha. I think in a situation like that, see, and that's a part of the life that a lot of people don't understand is like guys will test you straight out of Jump Street. They're going to test you immediately. And the thing is like they may be hot and angry about something, and they're going to look at you and say what they got to say to you. But if you get up and walk away, to them, you're a bitch.
Right.
So you got to sit there and you take it, and then they eventually calm down, and somehow you become best friends, which is kind of odd to me.
Yeah.
And I love that guy to death. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a situation where you know you're dealing with somebody who will do anything for you, but don't ever put him in a position to not trust you. Then it becomes like walking on a tightrope,
man.
You know?
Holy fuck, yeah. I mean, there's positives and negatives. I mean, I guess a negative is if you go out to eat with the guy, you can't fucking eat what you want, or you can't order what you want, I guess.
He's going to, you know, the funny thing is he's going to hear that and go, "Did you tell that fucking kid that I wouldn't let you fucking order something?"
I'm sorry. I'm saying shit I shouldn't. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I'm just trying.
He'll laugh about it. Because the other guy that was there was like, "Yeah, but I want this." He goes, "You want what?" He goes, "Yeah, but I want this." He goes, "No, you're going to eat the fucking meatballs. I told you these meatballs are good. You're going to eat those." "Yeah, but I wanted to." And he just looked at me. I said, "What the fuck you want me to do?" Next thing you know, the meatballs came. And then the poor bastard was so shaken up, he barely touched the meatballs.
Oh my God, that's fucking great, because I know who the other guy is and I know what he's like.
I really wanted to try the fucking veal. I really came here. I want to try the fucking veal. Your food's so bland in this city.
He had to fucking be shitting his pants.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Like twice when that meeting happened, he twice went to the bathroom, and here was the best part. He goes to the bathroom, and I got to be careful how I say this, but the guy that you know I'm talking about, the sidekick went to the bathroom, and the guy looks at me and goes, "Do you know what it's taken for me not to say nothing right now?" I said, "Listen, with all due respect, got to do what you got to do, right?" And he says to me, and I'll never forget this because I've never heard this before. He goes, "I'm not going to say nothing because you put your confidence in me. You came to me, you asked me to hold this information, and I'm not one to ever repeat nothing." What he wanted me to do was to tell him, "No, go ahead." That's what he wanted me to do. Yeah. But I says, "No," I says, "You know, just kind of let it go, whatever." And he's like, "I'm only doing it because you put your confidence in me. That's it."
Which is
You know?
that's a respect thing right there. Too.
Absolutely. And then we went over to Jerry Blavitt's place, and the infamous, if you guys want to have a couple drinks, you could stay at my place. Guy gets up to go talk to Jerry Blavitt, and he goes, I'm not staying at that guy's fucking house. He goes, Jeff, we're gonna wake up in the middle of the fucking night. That guy's gonna have a butcher knife. He's gonna put us in a chair. He's gonna
sleep with one eye. That's sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah, he's gonna interrogate us all night. It's like, no, interrogate us over what? That guy scares the shit out of me. No way.
Oh my god. Now, could you imagine if your friend, not your sidekick, but the guy you're talking about, did say something to him that night?
Oh god.
Like, listen, you tell your fucking buddy. He says this. Could you imagine his face? Like, what would his response be? Like, just.
Oh, I know what he would have said, because he would have said, you tell your little buddy, shut his fucking mouth, or the next time I'm there, I'll shut it for him. And they wouldn't have been fucking around at all. And can you imagine if he says that, right? Let's play it out for a minute. He says that, and then maybe my buddy gets a little too drunk and says, yeah, let's just go stay at the guy's house. I almost would have paid my other friend just to fucking torment him all night.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine every time he hears a creak in the wood floor, he goes, "Oh fuck, he's coming to get me."
Yeah, I mean, Christ, the dude, he can't even pull over on the side of the road and take a piss. He thinks he sees Hitler's ghost. Imagine
that
if
was
saw
fucking
a real
hilarious.
Fucking person.
So you know what it was is we left South Philly at like 3:00 in the fucking morning. Right. So I'm getting ready to leave. Sonny says to me, Jeff, you sure you want to go? I says, no, I don't really want to go, because this prick drives 30 miles an hour on the fucking interstate. It's going to take 6 fucking hours to get back to Manhattan. It's like, oh, just stay here. Don't worry about it. Let him go on his own. No, I can't let him go. Can't let him go on his own. And somehow, because he's not paying attention to his phone, his GPS, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. We end up in the fucking Pine Barrens, which is not the right direction.
Another episode from The Sopranos.
Yeah, and I said to him, we're in the fucking Pine Barrens. He goes, how'd we get here? I said, you're the one fucking driving. And he's like, oh my God, I got to take a fucking piss. I said, just pull over. We're in the fucking woods.
Oh God.
So he goes tramping through the woods, because he's the type of guy that won't stand near anybody when he pisses for some reason. He has to be like a mile away. So I can only imagine the phobia he has about standing in a urinal in front of people.
Ugh.
So he goes way deep into the woods. Me, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, you're going like 10 feet off the road.
Right. So I'm going. And of course, because I had been drinking in South Philly, it's finally catching up to me. And I hear like sticks breaking in the distance, and I hear like footsteps and like running. And I look up, and here he comes running out of the woods. Jesus Christ, it's fucking Hitler. Hitler's in the fucking woods. Get in the motherfucking car. How many bodies do you think they got here? Oh my God, there's ghosts everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck?
He was serious that he really thought he saw Hitler's ghost?
No, I'm going to tell you.
I know.
I'm going to tell you what he saw. Inside the middle of the woods was an old billboard from the side of the road. And it was like a Roy Rogers sign. And someone had spray painted a mustache on it.
Oh, jeez.
So he's first of all paranoid about being in the Pine Barrens, because he's just and you know what he said to me? He goes, hey, how many times you think our friend has been out here? I was like, just knock it off. Just stop. And he was so freaked out from everything that had happened earlier in the day. He's on edge, because that was the same day that we had the little meeting thing. And fucking I'd never seen him run so fast in my life. And he left me sitting there, just like he left me sitting there the time the Albanian guys were trying to kill me.
Oh God. Didn't you say he was in the hiding in the bathroom with like a butter knife?
Yeah. We're sitting. So here's the story. I don't even think I've ever told this publicly. So at the time, there was an informant who was like had hired 2 Albanian guys.
This is a good story for the people in the chat.
Yeah, dude, because it's true. I mean, it's not a bullshit story. So this informant had wanted to have my legs broken or killed or whatever, and he hired these 2 Albanian bumbling fucking morons to do this job. And we're in Park Slope, and we're eating at a Turkish fucking restaurant of all places. Which, I mean, come on, we just pulled over, and I'm sitting there, and he's like got his eyes glued to the door. And this is the only time I've ever put my back to a door. And he's like, hey, I don't want to alarm you, but there's 2 guys out front, and they're watching you. So watching me? What the fuck they watching me for? And I turn and I see him. So this goes by for a few minutes. And he goes, oh, you ought to go outside and go see what they want. I said, are you fucking out of your mind? Because they could have parked in front of the restaurant. Okay. There was enough parking. But they were like sitting like in the median. They just stopped in the middle of the road and they're looking right at the two of us.
Wow.
So what ends up happening is I say, fuck it. I grab my phone and I turn the camera on and I'm holding my phone in my hand so I can get their plate just in case. If I get whacked, here's my phone, do whatever. And I go out front and as I do, they move up so I can't get a look at them. And they move up about 25 feet. And I stand there for a few minutes. I light a cigarette and they're just standing there and I could see their eyes in the rearview mirror. And I'm like, okay, this is not a good thing. So I go back in and he's nowhere to be found. He's hiding in the bathroom with a butter knife. What the fuck are you going to do with a butter knife in the fucking bathroom?
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? So, but as soon as I started to walk back towards the inside of the restaurant, guess what they do? They start backing up. And once again, they're in front. And listen, I've seen this 100 times in my life, not personally, but what it was is they were going to shoot me as soon as I come out the front of that restaurant. But they were nervous. And I could tell they were nervous because, first of all, they were keeping their hands down in their laps. That's not a normal, like, typical behavior. Nor does anybody sit parked out front of a fucking restaurant. So finally I look at him and I say, oh, now you're going to come out of here. So what are you going to do with the butter knife? Block a bullet? He's like, we got to figure out a way out of here. I says, here's what we're going to do. Our car is parked behind theirs. So we're going to walk. We're going to get in the car. And we're going to step on the gas and just start blowing through lights. You're going to listen to me, right? Oh, yeah. So this is what happens. We get into the car. Keep in mind, we don't have any weapons at all. Nothing. Yeah. Okay?
The way that fucker drives, you'd be...
Well, so we get in the car, and they're watching us the whole time. I'm like, oh, man, fuck. So stupidly, not stupidly, but smartly, I want him on their side. He's the bigger target. If they hit him, it's got to come through him to get me. I'm just being honest with you. So we pull out.
Smart thinking too.
We pull out, and the light is green. And I looked at him and I said, "Gun it." I don't want to get a ticket. I said, "We're gonna get killed."
Yeah,
like, just fucking step on the gas. So he steps on the gas, but then he decides, "Oh, I'm gonna do a U-turn." And I said, you dumb fuck, you're going to do a U-turn. You're going to have to stop at the curb and back up. They're going to pin us in because there's a car in front of us.
Yeah, you're not
like, what are you doing? I know what I'm doing. I was a Marine. I says, your Marine ass is going to get me killed. So what ends up happening is we make the U-turn and I look at him and say, lay on the motherfucking gas. Because now what's happened is now they're doing a U-turn and they're gunning it and they're coming up along the left side. So they're trying to get a shot at one of the two of us.
Right.
Okay. And the reason why I know that is because when I look over, I see the guy cocking the fucking gun.
Oh, God.
Like, this isn't a joke.
Holy
and I'm
fuck.
like, well, we're about to get shot in Park Slope. Next thing I know, he finally come to Jesus works. We're doing 95, 100 miles an hour in Park Slope, just blowing through lights. And then I said, look, there's a right-hand turn coming up. I don't give a fuck what. I don't care if we flip the car 16 times. You're going to take a right turn and you're just going to keep going. No, we'll just keep going straight. I said, you go straight. We're going to get shot. So we finally get to the corner and I grabbed the fucking wheel and yanked it to the right. And we went right and they went flying forward. And all you see is them hit the brakes and smoke coming off. They're trying to stop to back it the fuck up.
Right.
This asshole wants to take a left-hand turn. After we make a right, I says, we're going to go back to where we just came from. Just keep going fucking straight and don't lay off the gas till I fucking tell you. So for the next 18 minutes, we're doing 100 miles an hour. Just
when did he lose them? Like, how long did they turn around and come down that road?
Yeah. But by that time, we had, like, I said, make a right turn, make another left turn. Like this way, you were like, kind of rounding about away. Right. And so with everybody that's going to call this story bullshit, here's what's really fucked up. We got their plate. Now, the person that I was with is an attorney. So, of course, he had people that do investigations, correct?
Sure.
That plate comes back to Albanians in the Bronx. Not only that, but these same two individuals attempted to murder somebody that was friends with that informant. Not 3 weeks prior.
Wow.
In fact, there was video footage of it, of them banging on his parents' house. Look at the same two guys.
God.
Now, see, so here's the next thing. because this is going to come up, is did you tell anybody? Did you call the police? Nope. Didn't say a word.
I remember you back then. You said you refused to.
Huh?
You refused to.
Well, yeah, because
I mean, back then was the story your buddy was
the
talking about. Yeah,
the attorney went and said something to somebody, and when he told me they want to talk to you, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not talking to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a lawyer. I understand that. You need that. I don't.
Right.
I don't. So, needless to say, you know, and that was like literally 3 months after somebody shot and blew somebody's head off when I was in Brooklyn.
I remember that story too. Jesus Christ. That was a tumultuous fucking time for you, man.
Yeah.
Holy
So like
Christ.
when people think that, you know, I'm just the fucking little stupid big mouth on YouTube, that's really not the way the world works.
No, they don't.
I was on 4th Avenue agnostic.
Crazy.
But yeah, that was like, I listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was scared shitless.
Well,
Scared
that's legit. I mean, especially when you're doing the U-turn and you see them doing the U-turn, cocking the gun. Who the fuck?
Listen, this is what's so horrible. These assholes had like shovels sticking out of the back of their car. Like it was like amateur hour. And I think at first I thought, okay, somebody paid somebody to try to scare me. Well, that's not going to work. But these guys weren't fucking around, but they were idiots still, because it's broad daylight. Like if you're smart. And what's really weird about this whole story is not 2.5, 3 weeks before this, my friend saw this same car parked a block down from his work and from his parents' house. So they were tailing him. That's how they caught us, because they were tailing him, which led to
your
me.
attorney friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he said, do you think they're after you or me? I said, both of us. Both of us.
If they were smart, they would have had a crash car.
Of course. But But see, the whole issue with that is that people believe that this informant was somebody when he wasn't. But because he has some infamy, they'll do what he wants because they're stupid.
And they'll know how to use them.
No. So, you know, that's and then we got tailed from New York to Holtz by the FBI.
No.
Tailed us the whole fucking way. We left here. We were heading to South Philly, and I noticed we were getting followed. And I said, "Hey," I said, "You got any indictments you're working on or anything?" He said, "No." I said, "You been around anybody that's indicted?" "No." I said, "Well, look behind us. There they were. Literally, no matter which way we fucking turned, they followed us, and they walked into Holtz, and they were watching everything we were doing. And then one of them approached him and says, 'Hey, where are you guys going?' And he's like, 'Oh, South Philly.' And I'm like, oh, like
not smart for an attorney, man.
You know, come on already." So what ended up happening there was he's like, "What do we do?" I said, "Get back on the interstate like we're heading back to New York." And we did. They got on, were following us, and then they got off, and then we doubled back and went to where we went. So,
I mean, why even tell them? I mean, who just comes up and say, "What are you asking me for?"
well, that was right after the time where the feds wanted to raid my house because of the Phil Narducci thing.
Yeah.
When they had the warrant for search and seizure of my house.
Dude, all this shit that went down with you helping the person you're talking about, helping him out with his indictment, this Albanian hit story, and all this, was this all like within a year or so of each other, or like
yeah. No, the time between the Albanian thing and the feds coming here on a search and seizure warrant for all my electronics was like 2 years.
All right. I just fell back fucking in the beginning. It was nuts. Could you imagine yourself a year before you started MTR, all the shit you would have gone through 10 years later? You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, I grew up around this stuff, so I mean, it was nothing new to me, but being directly involved like that, no.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Indirectly is one thing, but like, you know, when you get a phone call saying, "Yo, they just signed a fucking warrant. They're going to come to your fucking house. Get rid of everything in your motherfucking house immediately. I don't care. Throw it in the fucking river. Get rid of it." I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's
and the thing is like I could have had a reasonable argument, because I could have said, "Well, I'm not giving you these things because I have journalist protection. You don't have to give up your source of information," which is what they wanted. But rather than even attempt that, hell no.
Yeah,
No.
why even take a chance? I hear you, man.
And I honestly, to be honest with you, I mean, as smart as I am, I honestly, honest to God, did not realize it was illegal to out an informant. I really didn't know that. Unless it's, if it's sealed, you can't do that. Well, you learn the lesson the hard way, because not only did I call the Boston Globe, but I called every newspaper company that would fucking listen to me. And guess what it became? Mob informant is a known fucking terrorist.
Oh, that guy.
And because of that,
and they didn't even care.
No. But because of that, instead of my friend going away for 30 years, he went away for 8 months. Beautiful thing. Best thing I ever did.
So you helped him. I remember being the first time I was at his place, not when I was meeting you, and that's the first time I met the guy you're talking about. And I said hi to him and stuff, because he was sitting near me and talked to him a little bit. And he was talking about that and about the FBI. He goes, "Don't you guys want to know this information that this guy's a terrorist? Like, isn't this important to you?" Like, it's like they didn't even care. Like, what the fuck?
No, he's a great guy. Him and his
wife, he is. Doing very well.
I think he realized. To be fair, it's being fair. I think initially he probably Phil Narducci, I'll say his name. I don't give a shit. He can get mad if he wants. I think initially he was probably worried. He doesn't know me all that well, and he knows I know a lot of other people, but you don't know me individually. So, and for good reason. I think he was like, you really need to be quiet. Not that he had any reason to, because he did nothing wrong, right? So how I got that information didn't fucking matter. It didn't come from him. Yeah. But I got the information, and then I got those other things that I'll talk about another time. But he really was appreciative, because I could have just been like, "Oh, I got the information from X, Y, and Z," and
you really went to bat for that guy, and it wasn't like you knew him really well. That's highly appreciative. It just is crazy how you talk about how the feds just have such a hard on for these guys, and how they go so all out. I'm not going to mention the names and the places anymore, but like where I work, and this one old timer from South Philly, who I mentioned to you a few times, he really, he knows people. Mark Chisano, his last name is, well, I said I was going to name people, but whatever. And, he was friends. He's an old timer, and he knows who's who. And he was telling me how that mouse he got out, Massimino, I guess he's in a halfway house. He's like, the last time, he goes, he didn't even really do anything. He goes, a guy just, came in. It wasn't even really loaning him money. A guy just came in the car, gave him some money, and the feds thought it was funding some big drug operation, and it had nothing to do with that. I mean, you can't even have, if you're a person that they allegedly think you're somebody in that life, you can't even have someone give you a $20 fucking bill without something happening. Well, it's just amazing what they could twist it into.
Anytime, if you look now, especially with the Genovese guys that just recently put out, it's all the same. It's loan sharking and bookmaking. That's all they got. The days of the murders and the huge narcotics, those days are over. And if that's the best you can fucking get, I mean, the most they're getting guys now on is 5-year terms. That's totally different than you go back 20 years, guys were getting 25, 30, 40 years.
They were getting,
but that's also the problem with South Philadelphia, is that they act like there's 5,000 of them. They're killing guys every other week, and it's just not the case. And I told you, my buddy, 2 of my friends that went away in the Philadelphia case, one of them who got charged with shit didn't even do anything. It's because the guy talking on the wire assumed the money was going to guy B when it was just going to guy A. And all because he said it, got the guy pinched for fucking 5 years. It's bullshit.
That's what I mean. I mean, you got to have more than just, that, but I don't know. There's no oversight. I mean, what is it to prove a RICO? It has to be at least 3 people or something like that.
Well, that's for a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's what it was.
The emphasis on RICO, they don't have to prove you did it. They just have to prove that you likely could have been involved. So the emphasis on, for a murder trial, they usually need your DNA or a witness, right?
Sure.
Not in RICO. They don't need that. They don't need any of that. The emphasis is more on, can we logically assert that you likely were involved? That's all they have to prove.
So innocent until proven guilty is out the window.
Yeah, it's usually guilty until proven innocent. That's typically how it works. And there's no oversight on confiscation. Because you'll see in every single RICO indictment is like they explain, we can take your house, we can do this, we can do that.
That's just nuts, man.
There needs to be a bigger definition in terms and a line of what can be substantiated forensically between taking money from a criminal act. You know what I mean?
It can't be.
So like you like football. Well,
Right.
just because you like football doesn't mean you have every jersey in the NFL and college. Doesn't mean you're dating
Sure.
college player. You know what I mean? So it's like, from my perspective, is just because you're a plumber doesn't really necessarily mean you control what everybody else does. So I guess the better example would be is if, let's say you and I are involved in organized crime, and I tell you, listen, here's kind of the deal. Drugs are a no-no, whatever. And you're like, yeah, I know. But then behind my back, you say, I do whatever the fuck I want. Well, doesn't that disprove hierarchy? Doesn't that disprove?
Which is what happened. And you're using that example because that's
Right.
what happened.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. A guy
they
in a
don't
wiretap
care.
say, I do whatever the fuck I want. Whatever he doesn't know is none of his business. So if
Just
that's
don't
what he's
care
saying,
about that shit, man.
then logically, if I'm the boss and I'm the higher up and you're just doing what you want, doesn't that kind of blow the whole idea away of this guy being a
Should.
leader?
But I don't think they care about right and wrong. It's just like how they knew Fat Tony Salerno wasn't the real boss. All they're thinking about is, we don't care if it's right or wrong, if we're getting it. We don't care if we're getting this wrong. We're still going to get a win out of this. It just seems like that's what they're like. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, Tony Salerno got caught on a wiretap saying, I don't know who any of these guys on this fucking induction list are. Go ahead, give it to the boss. They knew because there were others. There were others like Vinny the Fish Cafaro who came forward and told the government, like, he's not the boss. Vinny the Chin is the boss.
Yeah,
and they
right.
knew that, but they didn't give a shit. But that didn't apply to New Jersey. And the only reason why it didn't apply to Rusty Rastelli was because they heard that the Bonanos had been kicked off the commission.
That's right. Yeah.
So that doesn't
That's
mean the
crazy.
guy's not a boss. It just means he's not on the commission, you prick.
Yeah, he's still a boss. I mean, when they made RICO, they didn't even know about the commission, probably. I mean, who says it had to be a commission? That's fucking crazy. They should really just be state cases. That's true. They probably should be state cases. You know, one thing Phil told me was one of the funniest things. It was just that first night I met him. So I'm there. It's during football season. I'm going to meet a buddy later on tonight to watch a Penn State game. And I got money on, I don't know who it was. I think I bet against Notre Dame or something. I'm like, fucking Notre Dame. They're fucking killing me, right? And Phil's there. He goes, I fucking hated Notre Dame ever since Robert Blakely. I swear to God. He goes, I never liked those motherfuckers ever just because of Robert Blakely.
He's such a loving guy. He's such an understanding guy.
He is.
I can't tell you, you know, there was one time where there wasn't an issue. It was just a friendly, put his arm around me. Just as I told you a million times, when are you going to listen? You know?
Yeah.
But you don't want to be on the receiving end of anything negative either with him. I can tell you that much. He's a gentle. Listen, I always explain to people that babies and children and dogs, everybody else can get fucked. That's the way he is. You know what I mean? And there's a couple of guys down there that are like that. You know, my best friend down there, he says, you know what, Jeff? He goes, let me tell you something. He goes, little kids and dogs, everyone else can get fucked. And it was funny because, you know, the one that I was telling you about that we met, you know,
right. Yeah, I know.
I'll never forget. It was like 2 winters ago. I texted him and said, what are you doing, pal? He goes, hey, pal. He
I was
goes,
just going to say this. I remember what you're going to say. Go ahead.
He's like, I took my dog sledding. I said, what do you mean you took your dog sledding? He goes, I got this sled. I set the little dog on my lap. We go down the hill. And if you knew who I was talking about, you would be like, holy shit. Because who society thinks he may or may not be, or who the government says he may or may not be, would totally be opposite of that.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he's got the little foo-foo dog, the little bark, the ankle biters.
I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. Like the family and the friends of the people I knew from Grace Ferry in South Philly, they all got those little fucking dogs, man. I don't know, it's because the small homes or something. It's so small. There's not a lot of.
Oh, Phil's the only one. He's got the Cane Corsos. He doesn't have small.
Oh yeah,
dogs.
he's all into those dogs. Well, I remember the same friend you're talking about that. You know, you went to see Jerry Glavis with. You're telling me the one time.
Yeah.
You I guess you spoke to him. You said, "How are you doing?" And you said he said something like, you said, "Oh, I'm not that good." Or you go, and he said, "Oh, what do you mean? Everything's beautiful." And you said something. He said to you, "Listen, is the sky falling on anybody? Or our friends are okay?" You said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Then everything's fucking great."
Yeah. No, listen, I say this about very few people in my life, but there's this term that we use. It's called a rabbi, right? And basically what it means is somebody who schools you in certain things. And when I would be like, and he would already know because he watches certain YouTube stuff, and he would call me and I would be like, "This cocksucking motherfucker." And I'm like going crazy. And he's like, Eugene, everything's beautiful. You in jail? You making that chicken? You banging broads? I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, you're a lover. I love that." He goes, "Everything is great." And he gave me the best piece of advice. He goes, "Are they going to say it to you?" I said, "No." "Are they ever going to come near you and say it in front of me?" I said, "No." He goes, "Fuck them."
Yeah, that's right, man.
You know, and I try to remind myself of that when these internet people say that. But you know what's funny about him saying that to me though? You know damn well if anybody said that about him,
when you're telling me that, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, so when he's going nuts, what would he say if you gave him his own?
Listen, there's one story I would love to tell, but I can't. But he cracks me up. There was a thing I was talking about on a radio show, and I had been talking about who I think logically should be the next in command, whatever. You know, sometimes we like to play fantasy role play mobster of who should take over this family or that. And I didn't say who. I just said, "Oh, I think I kind of got some ideas." And I get a call like 2 days later. He goes, "Oh, so you think you know everything, huh?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You think you know who should be running things? Is that what you think?" I said, "Well, do you want me to tell you who?" He goes, "No, I don't give a fuck what you think." I'm like, "Well, it's you." And all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, well, that makes sense." All of a sudden his demeanor changes. But then he said something. He goes, "Listen, pal, just to be on a totem pole is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What do I need the headaches for?" But it's funny. It's a hilarious. It could be a reality show, those phone calls. But he's a great guy. Great. I would do anything for him. He knows it. As a matter of fact, just recently, well, you know what? I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, no, that's good. I understand. Hey, listen, I'm gonna roll. I don't want to take away from your show because there's other people in here, and I hope they enjoyed some of our stories. But just text me after the show. It was a good chat. I had a good time tonight.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna get out of here too. It's way too long.
All right, bud. I'll see everybody in the chat.
All right. Anyway, so that's gonna be it, guys. I gotta get out of here. I got a long day tomorrow. I just wanted all you just to say thank you for all you hanging in there and just listening to what I have to say. And as we continue to do these lives, we are going to start doing topic only. So we'll do a topic for 40 and then bring everybody in. We had a lot of people in here tonight. I really appreciate it. For everybody that stuck around, thank you very much. If you're into horror stuff, we do that too. Keep it dialed in. We're going to start doing lives a lot more frequently, but they'll be a little bit formed a little bit better, and we'll have some other guests on and stuff like that. So thanks a lot for joining in. Have a great weekend. It's weird here in New York. One day it's 50, the next day it's 20 degrees. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody.